Hello viewers, this is Charles and this is the next in my series Learn Programming and Game Development with Lua. In the last control flow video we looked at if statements. In this control flow video we're going to look at while loops. I'm going to put a comment at the top of the file just to say this is an example of a while loop so that we know what the code's about. While loops are very important because they're the core of any game engine. So let's have a look at what a while loop's going to look like. I'm going to start by declaring a couple of local variables. And the first one is going to be score. I'm now going to have a second local variable, gameIsOver. And I'm going to set it to false. In a previous video we looked at functions and we're going to use a function now to increment the score. That's simple to do. We simply type function increment score. You can call it anything you like. Then we're going to go score equals score plus 1. Now what I want to happen here is if score is greater than or equal to 6, I want to set gameIsOver to true. So let's see what that looks like in code. And we now need a second end to end the function. So let's just go through this to make sure that it's clear what it's doing. So we take score, which the first time the increment score function is called will be 0, and we increment it by simply adding 1 to score. So score becomes score, which was 0 plus 1, so it becomes 1. Then I use an if statement to test whether score is greater than or equal to 6. If it is, I'm going to set gameIsOver to true, and if it isn't, nothing will happen and we'll simply exit the function. So now we need to write the while loop. The while loop starts with the keyword while, then it has a condition or an expression that evaluates to a condition, and then it has the statement. So we start with the keyword while, then we have the condition, and then the do keyword. Now notice this is double equals because we want the equivalent operator. The first thing we're going to do is to call increment score to increment the score. So that calls the function increment score, and the first time this runs through it will increment score to 1. 1 is not greater than or equal to 6, so gameIsOver will remain false, and then we'll come back to the next line in the while statement. So in the next statement I'm going to print out that the game is running and the score. Now use the concatenation operator that we've seen before and then the score. That's it for the while loop, so we just need end. Now let's run it and see if it works. And it works, but we could really do with a statement to just say the game's over, so let's add that. So let's run it again, and you can see when we reach the end we print that out. Now as this is written, gameIsOver with the equivalence operator, that's double equals false, evaluates to a boolean true or false. Let's change the program a little bit so that we can simply use a variable in here rather than needing to write an expression. So how would we do that? Well, it's actually quite simple to do, and while we're doing it we can explore one of the useful features in the Zero Brain Studio editor. If you double left mouse button click on gameIsOver and then right mouse button click on gameIsOver, which is now selected, you can choose rename all instances. And now if you type gameIsRunning and we change this to true, we can then simply use gameIsRunning in the while loop. To start with, I'm going to just change the existing expression. So I want to change false to true. And in gameIsRunning, I now want to change true to false, if you think about it. Because if the score's greater than 6, we want the game to stop running. So we want this to become false. So now if we've run this, we should get the same result as before. And we do. So just to recap, effectively what we've done is we've changed the variable so that it uses true in place of false. So we've had to swap all the trues and falses around. The while loop executes if the condition passed to it is true. And as gameIsRunning is true when the game is running, we don't need to use the expression. So if we delete the equivalence operator and true, it should still run exactly the same. So let's do that and see what happens. And you can see you get exactly the same result. The important thing to realise about the while loop is that it goes on running until the condition is false. The key difference between a while loop and a for loop is that a while loop executes until a condition becomes false, whereas a for loop executes a specific number of times, and we'll see that in a subsequent video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. Have a great day.